Is dog culture government subsidized? Here's some examples of the raw meat that people feed to their dogs. So, do you think that food stamps, SNAP benefits are used for this? So, technically, you're not supposed to be able to use your SNAP benefits for dog food, but they actually encourage you to use your card to buy meats, fruits, and vegetables so you can make your own dog food at home. So, all of these people that have dogs and they can't afford their own food bill, they're getting money from all the other taxpayers to feed their dogs. So, it seems to me that dog ownership is actually government subsidized because ultimately they're going to have to collect taxes so that they can send out these SNAP benefits to people. And people are using SNAP benefits to feed their dogs prime cuts of meat and other ingredients that they recommend people buy to make their own dog food. They're bypassing this little thing of not being able to purchase pet food with your SNAP card. Other than the food stamps, there are actually other government programs to give you money for your dog. So, isn't that interesting? People don't have enough money to feed themselves. So, why would you have a dog in the first place? A dog is just another mouth to feed. And how come everybody else in society has to pay for your dog? Your dog is never going to grow up and give back to society all of that money that it's taken from everyone else. If it was your kid getting food stamp benefits, at least your kid could be, you know, pump gas somewhere, be a doctor, grow up to be somebody, be a bus driver. Your dog will never do that. And so to me, this seems like a waste of money. But the fact that we have so many dogs in our society, it means that the government can look at that and then they can decide to take a lot of taxes from their country to help pay for these dogs. And within the SNAP system, there have been many scams and other types of things where they're not being honest with all the money they collect for food stamps. So the presence of dogs, it's just another way to take money away from people underneath the guise of some type of charity. This feeding your dog raw meat and garden fresh ingredients and eggs and all that kind of stuff, this is everywhere. So is it reasonable to assume that a good portion of SNAP benefits are going towards this type of stuff? Spoiling these dogs. Meanwhile, humans go hungry. Like, what portion of SNAP benefits goes to all this crazy stuff for dogs? All of this meat, the raw meat diet. So much raw meat going towards dogs. So let me go off topic just a little bit about this raw meat thing and show you guys something else. So you might have heard of these cattle ranchers. They have a big problem with wolves trying to get into their cattle. And so here's a picture. Don Gittleson uses a tractor to herd his cows closer to the ranch on Wednesday morning after the cows were chased miles apart during a wolf attack. So that makes sense to me. They don't want the wolves to eat and predate on their cattle because these are milk cows and these are also cows that will go to the market for beef and steaks. So feeding the wolves, basically allowing the wolves to consume these cattle, that's a big no-no, right? But yet out in society, we're feeding these cattle to dogs all over the place. A good chunk of all this meat that comes from these ranches is being thrown down the gullets of these welfare queen dogs. So it's like this myopic kind of cognitive dissonance. We're so concerned about wolves, probably rightly so, but a good portion of this meat that's getting butchered and slaughtered is going right down the throat of these useless welfare queen dogs. So you don't want to feed your cattle to wolves, but you're happy to feed your cattle to all these pet dogs all across the country? Seems kind of crazy to me. And isn't it crazy that while we're feeding all of these dogs this raw meat diet, government corporations that are connected with USDA and other places, they're going to tell us eat less red meat, save the planet, save the earth, save the cattle. Meanwhile, you're slaughtering cattle to feed dogs, feeding dogs a raw meat diet, dogs that breathe out CO2 like crazy, dogs that suck our oxygen away, but you're telling us to stop eating red meat. Meanwhile, what are they doing while they're telling us to stop eat red meat? Now we're over at another subsidy example. So the USDA gives a bunch of money to farmers and ranchers for relief, financial relief, other types of relief. So check out the numbers. It's pretty big. Wildlife, emergency relief, other type stuff. And this isn't a one-time deal. They got more stuff coming up. More stuff coming up for 2024. More money for these ranches. And I'm not against that. But this is your taxpayer dollars that are going to these ranches. And then the ranches are raising food to give to dogs. Food that is probably a good portion of it bought with SNAP benefits. This is a huge taxpayer funded thing. And think about all those people that work out there on the ranch. Like back to our ranch picture. All those people that work on the ranch that have to shovel the manure and do all that work, a portion of their work, instead of going to feed their fellow humans, you would think working on a ranch, you're thinking about getting some good quality steaks out to your humans so they can be healthy and happy and be the next generation of ranchers and other problem solvers. But a good portion of that work that they're doing on the ranch is going right to these freaking lazy mutts, giving them all this freaking farmed and ranched food. All this stuff going to dogs. You're working on the ranch thinking you're going to help your fellow humans. You're thinking you're going to help your country, the next generation of good, strong, meat eating workers. Well, a lot of your work that you do on that ranch is going towards these dogs. These dogs that are already welfare queens. And you're sitting there on the ranch having to do more work for them, having to get more government subsidies to keep your ranch going. So consider when you're looking out there in society all the stuff that people buy for their dogs. On the surface, you might think, wow, this is just a bunch of profit and this is why dogs are so popular. But look deeper, because the presence of dogs allows the government to take money from its country and then say, well, we're going to divvy it back up. And part of divvying it back up is the presence of dogs. A huge part of it is the presence of dogs. So they don't necessarily have to make a profit when it comes to all the stuff that they sell to dog owners. If they can give the dog owners some free money that they took away from the rest of the taxpayers, if they can then give some free money to the programs that produce the products for dogs, like with this, then they basically got us by the balls, especially because our country worships dogs so much. No one is going to be willing to look at this or talk about it. Everyone is going to sit back and be like, well, I don't understand it. I don't want to talk about politics, so there's nothing I can do. So that has been a look at some government subsidies that help support dogs, but don't go to helping humans. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hope you like it. See you in the next one.